Hey, my friends, welcome back to the UNCOMMODiFiED podcast. And I'm Tim Windsor, and I'm looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you again today. But just before I do, I just want to share a quick note that I received on LinkedIn from one of my listeners. I always love it when my listeners reach out to me on any platform, and this was just a short, encouraging note I received recently. And this is what it said. I wanted to drop you a line just to say thank you for this podcast. I found you quite by accident through Craig and historyunfurled.com. For those of you who listen to my podcast, that's Craig Minchin, and he's got a website called historyunfurled.com. And this person happened to find me there with some of the episodes that Craig has posted that we've done together. And so I'm glad that he did. That's what this person on. I'm glad that he posted it, and I'm glad that I found you. That's what the person went on to say. Especially looking forward to more of your newest series about unenders. Keep up the good work that you're doing. Great encouragement. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate people reaching out to me. If you want to reach out to me, please do. Okay, let's dive into this one. Let's get into those. This is the 5th episode in this 14-part series that we're working through, and today we're going to explore another one of the 13 characteristics, the actions, the passions of those who are unending legacy leavers. The uncommodified, the unenders, who, even though they're gone, they are still very much alive with me because they did certain things that impressed me and impacted me and left a mark on me. And as I've been thinking about this and creating this series, I've sort of codified that in under these 13 characteristics, or described them or contain them under these so I can think about them. Here's what I found. Here's another quality. They are unenders because they were recorders. And I'll unpack that in a second. They are unenders because they are recorders. And if you and I can become recorders now, and we can document and capture a moment in time to be lived and relived over and over and over again, we can and will become unending legacy leavers, unenders in the lives of many people in this life. Recorders on video, on audio, in photos, in scrapbooks, in journals, on napkins, and ultimately on neurons inside the psyche and the brains of other people. Now, the simplest example of recorders, of course, are book writers. I have many books that I've written. No, I haven't written many books. I have many books that I've read over the years. Boy, I wish I would have written many books over the years. I have many books that I've read over the years. People who are long dead and gone that have impacted me so tremendously today. And even though I never met them, they leave an impactful legacy because they were recorders. They recorded history or stories about themselves and others or ideas. And that legacy inspires me as I read and reflect on them for maybe hundreds or maybe thousands of years later in some cases based on the text that I've written. So book writers are a great example of these recorders. Now, why don't you think about this for a second? Ivan Pavlov, Pavlov's dog, Ivan Pavlov, he was a Russian physiologist. Here's what he said. Don't become a mere recorder of facts, he said, but try to penetrate the mystery of their origin. Of course, he was talking about this for something very different, but I want you to think about it in this case. So I'm not talking about just recording facts for people. That's not in and of itself what causes you to leave legacy. But actually, when you record the mystery of the origin of those facts, or the mystery, as Pavlov says, of the event, that's when something transformative happens. Recording not just the facts, but recording the mystery and the magic that's encapsulated in the moment of an experience will leave a legacy. And again, you can record that on video or audio, on photos and scrapbooks and journals, on the back of a napkin, it doesn't matter. But don't just capture and record facts. Capture and record the magic of the moment for everyone to hear for eternity. Now, my wife Pam's an example of this. She's journaled from the time I met her when I was 19 years old. I'm now 56. She's journaled all that time. Now, maybe I'll get a chance to read them, maybe not, because the deal there is that they don't get read until my wife's dead. And I don't know if I'm going to die before or after her, so I may never get to read what's in there. But I think if I did, I would be absolutely inspired. I might also be challenged by what I read in there. But there's going to be a powerful legacy that is going to be left when someone, particularly hopefully our kids, and maybe other generations, and maybe our grandkids, get a chance to read those. Or also like the photo books that she makes for me of our adventures and trips. We go away and she makes this photo book, and then I have it to reflect on. I don't do these kind of things, but she's really good at it. She's a recorder, and that record, those recordings, will last beyond her natural life. My mom was a journaler, and she wrote notes, and those came to me and to my brothers when she passed away. And again, we found notes about what we thought were the mundane, but how things like when I went over to change a light bulb or change a light, and I had to go out and buy lights, and I did it for her. She actually journaled that and journaled her appreciation for me to come over and do that. How impactful that was when I read that after she had passed, and what it taught me again about appreciating the little things. I myself, when I was 16, I left home and I made audio tapes for my mom so I could stay in touch with her. And I still have some of those audio tapes, and every once in a while I can listen to them and I can look back, and they'll outlast me. So they'll go down to my children and maybe my grandchildren, and maybe they'll listen to them one day and they'll be inspired about the stories that I was talking about and the events that I was reflecting on. And the videos that we shot when our kids were young, of course, on a camcorder, not in an iPhone or not in a smartphone, but on our camcorder, they're going to be part of our legacy, and the kids will look at that and reflect, and hopefully remember a few of the things that we did with them when they were younger that they now forget. But regardless of the media that you use or the media used, recorders are ultimately scrapbookers. They create physical ones, and those scrapbooks can be in physical scrapbooks, or they can be audio sort of scrapbooks, memory books. They can be video, and they can be that physical, actual scrapbook made of paper and printing, or they can just be ones created in the minds and on the hearts of others, ones cut out of the memories once shared and always remember. They become like a scrapbook that can mentally be turned through in our mind. Now, I recently had the opportunity to share this idea of unenders, and that unenders are recorders, with one of my friends who was just grieving the death of a very good friend of hers and was preparing to deliver a eulogy at her friend's memorial service. And after I shared this idea that unenders are recorders, and we talked a little bit about how this particular person had impacted my friend, she went and took this idea and used it to craft her message that she wanted to give to the people that came to this memorial service. And she's given me permission to read you some of that and her thoughts that she shared with these people at this memorial service, because it's so powerful about this idea. Here's what she said. So her friend Sonia, who was a friend of hers for almost 39 years, had passed away, and she was at Sonia's memorial, and this is what she said. And I guess it's actually pronounced Sonia, and not Sonia, but Sonia. And this is what she said. Sonia has left a stunning legacy. She was a recorder. This is what my friend said to these people that had came to this memorial. She was a recorder, and recorders leave a rich legacy of documentation. By the way, my friend is an English lit teacher, so she took this idea and really made it great. And that's partly why I want to read it to you, because I wanted to have an impact on you. She was a recorder, and the recorders leave a rich legacy of documentation. She left scrapbooks, videos, thousands of photos. She even left a log of each of their Thanksgivings, what they ate, who was there, and what they did. This is a scrapbook that she gave me in 2005 for my 40th birthday, and she showed the scrapbook that Sonia had made for her to the people there. And this is what she said. I mentioned her propensity to record events because she does not just leave a physical legacy of documentation. You and I are living scrapbooks of her life. Let me read that again. You and I are living scrapbooks of her life. Over the years, I've heard about you. This is what Maria said to the people, either as individuals or a community, because she was so selfless. I thought she would be most honored if I addressed those people who meant so much, who shaped who she was, but who also shaped who she wanted to be. Again, what as Maria said, part of Sonia's living scrapbook that she was creating throughout her life. It's a powerful metaphor that Maria was using. She went on to say this. This is what she said to the people. Our behaviors and passions leave an imprint on hearts, and that imprint is one of the footprints we leave on this earth. It is unending, and it outlives our time spent here. Sonia's legacy inspires me. She showed me that there is life to have even in death. It's not black and white. It's not all or nothing. There are small moments to be celebrated even when death is imminent. One of the last images that Sonia etched on my mind and my heart is from the last day I saw her alive. Again, unable to eat, she had gotten very thin and weak, and yet, as we were getting ready to watch whether or not the Kansas City Chiefs were going to make it to the Super Bowl, she went into her bedroom and came out wearing her Chiefs t-shirt and baseball cap. I was shocked. I had no paradigm for someone in pain, someone getting ready to leave this earth, finding strength to be a fan. Her passions and behaviors inspire us to live a life courageously until we ourselves lose consciousness and then leave a footprint of love, beauty, and hope, just like Sonia did. And how you and I continue to live our lives, lives that can be touched by the courage and joy of others, that we then can continue to be part of Sonia's legacy. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. That's what my friend wrote, and that's the message she delivered at the memorial service for her friend. All about being an unender, a recorder who's an unender. Powerful. Listen to what Maria wrote again. Listen to this. You and I are living scrapbooks of her life. That is powerful. Now, recorders are rooted and grounded people, absolutely. And they remind people to be both. As the political activist, publisher, journalist, entrepreneur, and orator Marcus Garvey once said, listen to what he said. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Recorders connect people back to their roots, and they take a record of them, a snapshot or an audio file or a video that connects people back to their roots. And as they do, there's a powerful thing that happens because the life is sucked out of this earth from the roots up to the plant. When you record events for people that they can re-listen to and come back to, you bring them back to their roots, and it's a nourishing part of what happens. Recorders are also luminaries. They shed light on and bring light from the past into our present. As a historian, Lord Action once said, history is not a burden of the memory, but an illumination of the soul. Recorders are soul lights. They light a way back of connectivity, not just to our mind, again, not just facts, information, but the magic of what happens in our souls that transcends our natural beings. And when we watch an old movie or we listen to something, I have old audio tapes of my mom or interviews I did with my papa. And when I listen to that, I'm catapulted back to the moment of time that it happened. And I am impacted by that in such a powerful way. That's why this gift of being able to record in our generation in a way that no other generation has been able to is actually so abused so often because the recording is so nonsensical in social media. But the power it has to leave legacy is absolutely palpable, and we should never forget the grand opportunity that we have with it. Recorders are soul lights. So here's my challenge for you this week. Here's what I want you to consider. If you have a gift from a recorder in your life, get it out today. If you have a gift from a recorder in your life, get it out today. If they're still alive, awesome. If they're already dead and gone, doesn't matter, get it out. And in preparation actually for this podcast, I went and I got out some of the old things I had from my mom, who was this amazing recorder, and I have these things. I went back and looked at these audio tapes I had from my papa, and I pulled them out. And here's my encouraging you: go and do that, and dust them off, and listen to them again, watch them, read them again, and ruminate on them. And here's the question I want you to think about: what does it inspire you to do again when you hear it? What does it inspire you to do for yourself and for others? What thoughts come to your mind? What memories do you have? If that recorder is dead, as mine is now, if they're maybe they're alive, maybe they're not, but if they're already dead and gone, obviously you can't call them. But if they are still alive, call them, connect with them. Now, if they're already dead and you've listened to that, maybe call one of their relatives or one of their friends that remain and let them know, remind them of how they impacted you, the impact that they've had, and maybe that can become an encouragement to them. That is what we want to do. We want to pull off the dust of those old records and allow them to be experienced once again for the first time. and be impacted by what we see and hear as we look at those scrapbook memories, as we look at those audio files, those videos, whatever we have as those mementos from our recorders. Let's see how they inspire us again. Now, second challenge, go out, go out and get some paper and scissors and markers, or use your iPhone or your Galaxy One Note or some other kind of smartphone and make it smarter and wiser for someone else. Record a video or an audio message and send it to someone today to inspire them now and maybe inspire them when they're gone. Just like the letter that a friend of mine, Dave, wrote to me. He recorded a message to me in his dying days, and I look at that often, and I've mentioned that before in an episode or two before. I look at that often, and it is a powerful impact on me. Now, you could journal about your thoughts or just your seemingly mundane life. That maybe that what's going to happen as you do that, you're going to transform the mundane into the magical memories that will inspire others when they read it when you're on the other side. Those are the two challenges I have for you today. One, dust off something from an old recorder and be inspired by again. And second, create a new record, some kind of record, and leave it for somebody both now and maybe when you're not here. Unenders are recorders. And if you and I can become recorders now and document and capture a moment in time to be lived and relived over and over again, we can and will become unending legacy leavers. Unenders in the lives of many people that we encounter in this life. Thanks for listening, and never ever forget, you're not getting out of here alive, but your reputation and your impact will outlive and outlast you. Can't wait for you to join me for the next episode in this series. Have a great day.